to our Thursday edition of the Government Information Center. But today it is a different day in comparison to all of the other days, because today we are engaging with you. We want to hear from you, our viewers, on what your thoughts are, and we are talking about the fourth industrial revolution. The past 2 days we had the summit taking place and the conference and expo taking place, which took place at a safari. The Tuesday was open to the public, and yesterday by invitation, but on a hybrid manner. Today, we want to have this conversation with you, who's our viewer, the world out there, your comments, and maybe where we can educate each other on the basis of our understanding on what the fourth industrial revolution is. So please, you are highly welcomed to give us the call in the studio, and our line is 061 400 397. 400 397 is the call line here in the studio. We are also live streaming on our social media platforms as per usual, and through those platforms you can also engage with us, because it is a public engagement today. On Facebook you can find us on Ministry of Information and Communication Technology, Republic of Namibia, Ministry of Information and Communication Technology, Republic of Namibia. We are also on YouTube, and our handle there is MICT Namibia. MICT Namibia, that is where you can find us on YouTube. Please, as we are saying, it's a public engagement, and we want to have a conversation with you. In the studio, I am joined by my co-hosts or guest hosts for the day, and we have Miss Priscilla Mukokobi. Good afternoon, Priscilla. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Thank you. I am well. We also have Ms. Angela Tumbeko.
Yes.
Good afternoon, Angela. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. And thank you very much for having us.
Well, at least I get to share the platform today with lovely ladies who will be helping me have this conversation. At this time, we usually have our COVID-19 update, but we will be giving that to you as we receive it a little later on in the program. Right now, we dive into it. What do you understand when people are talking about fourth industrial revolution? I think I'll throw this to my co-hosts for the afternoon. Let us engage, you know, as well as you, the viewer out there. When you hear 4IR, what runs through your minds? Priscilla?
Fourth industrial revolution encompasses the change flowing from modern technology, specifically internet. Yes, okay. Internet technology, driving the evolution of how we live, how we work, and how we learn.
Yeah.
So that's how I understand the concept, fourth industrial revolution.
Okay. Angela, what's your take on it?
Well, my take is just that the fourth industrial revolution would be the advancement of artificial intelligence and other technologies, like Priscilla said, that is basically there to make our lives easier. But it goes further. They go further into robotics, Internet of Things, such as, you know, when we have smart fridges or smart TVs in our homes and so forth. And we also have genetic engineering, which is quite controversial, where we have genetic engineered babies, where you can choose what type of baby you want to have, whether it's green eyes and so forth. So it's quite wide.
Okay. No, I hear you. And I think for the longest time, I think especially us in Namibia, and this I say it under correction, but I take it from observation as we move around your peers, as you move around other people in your community. There was this inkling that it is still to arrive. We are still to enter. We are yet to get there. But if you look at the experts that we've had on the show recently, and also just listening to the conversations during the expo, you will realize that we were into the fourth industrial revolution way before we officially entered into the fourth industrial revolution, because our movements and our ways were being preset, if I could call it that, in ways of, you know, a fourth industrial revolution. I mean, revolutions started way back, and each one had its level of development, its level of mechanism that had been upgraded. And with regards to the fourth industrial revolution, it is evident in a lot of ways that our lives have changed. I mean, look at it this way. Nowadays, a lot can be done on your mobile phone. And this is coming from generations of development through various industrial revolutions, where, for example, one of the experts made an example of where your computer would fill a room. Literally, one computer was a whole room. And if you watch some of these documentaries, you would think this is crazy, or it's somebody who's, pulling a prank or an internet prank. What do you call these? Are they called TikTok? Whatever those little TikTok shows
little
are.
pranks.
You'd think it's one of those, because it's our minds cannot fathom that is where we came from. And then you look at the progression thereof also. I mean, we officially entered into the fourth industrial revolution around 2015. But if you look at our lifestyle changes, they started way before 2015 with regards to the fourth industrial revolution. Nowadays, we're practically doing everything at a click of a button. You're opening your gate outside using your mobile phone while you are thousands of kilometers away. That is, really how my mind looks at it when I hear fourth industrial revolution. It's the fact that, it is part of us. There is no choice on whether or not you want to be part of the fourth industrial revolution. Our everyday functioning is being determined by the progressions that are being made through these various revolutions. As we said, this is a conversation that we want to have with you. So please do join us on this platform. As we earlier alluded to, our call-in number is 061 400 397. That's the call-in line in the studio. Please do have or give us a call so that we can hear from you. What's your understanding when you hear fourth industrial revolution? The next question that the next person, or any person, including myself, would always ask is, so how does this affect my life? How does it affect it, whether positively or negatively? And I'll throw this one to you, ladies. Angela.
Well, I feel it's already had a big impact on our lives. It's just that we haven't really noticed because we're not aware of the whole concept of the fourth industrial revolution. But if you look at where, for example, the banking systems came from, now you can do e-banking. At the comfort of your home, you can send money. You don't have to go into a bank. So already that impacts your life. It changes your life. You don't have to spend money on, transport and going to the bank. And another side is also like the popularity of streaming services. Before, you'd either have to go rent out a DVD or you have to go to the movie in order to catch the latest blockbusters and so forth. But now we have a lot of streaming services. As long as you have data or you have access to the internet, you can stream at the comfort of your own home. For example, today, MTC launched its MTC TV. All those are advancements that are made to make our lives more comfortable, make our lives much more easier.
Yeah.
Exactly. So already that. And even at the beginning, when you spoke about mobile phones, before, when people would think about buying a phone, they'll think of the brand, the design. But currently, when you buy a phone, you look at something as storage space.
Yeah.
And that's something that the fourth industrial revolution is also concentrating on, cloud space.
Yeah.
So it affects our lives in so many different little ways that sometimes you don't even realize it. So for me, that would be like just some of the everyday things on how it affects us.
Yeah. Priscilla, your take on it?
Okay. So Aaron, what she said, let's talk about our businesses in Namibia. Like back in the days, we just used to go and sell our products without even advertising them. So these days, you can even like advertise your products on any social media.
Very true.
Yeah. And also in terms of health, let's talk about health. Like when this fourth 4IR will be introduced, I feel like it will be much easier than going to the hospital. You can just take a picture or maybe write your symptoms and then send to the doctor, and then you go collect your
prescription.
Yeah.
Like an e-doctor system.
Yeah.
Wow. Definitely very good points that are coming out here. And it actually also helps to highlight on the points that we never really think about on how these revolutions, industrial revolutions, are affecting our lives or even part of our lives. We've got a caller on the line. and we would like to welcome them to the show. And Tinda, good afternoon. How are you? Hello. Good afternoon, caller. How are you? We would advise you to please make sure that your radio or television is switched off so that we cut away the interference and the delay. But welcome to the conversation. Okay, it seems like we lost that caller. And Tinda from Ondangwa, I do hope that you call us back. Please do. We would love to hear from you and what your inputs were to be on our show this afternoon. You can also follow the example of Tinda and just call us. On the call line number is 061. That's the area code for Windhoek. The number in the studio is 400-397. 400-397. We continue with our conversation here while we wait for your call to come through. Fourth industrial revolution mainly is centered around technology, artificial intelligence, the use of the internet connection, and what mitigating factors has the institutions of higher learning put in place to narrow the gap between supply and demand of artificial intelligence and robotics. I will be very honest, I think today I need to be educated about robotics, and I was hoping that the viewers out there would help me understand, because I think it's one of those topics really that even when I think I understand what it is, something always pops out that throws me completely off. Once upon a time, I used to think robotics are, you know, the invention of these robots that would help us to, I don't know, let's say butler robots, or these robots that are used to operate on people. Because I remember once upon a time, or some time back, there was a documentary featuring a mechanism like that. That was my understanding of robotics. But with the conversations that I've been listening to of late, I'm thinking, nah, I might have this wrong. So maybe the ladies in the studio can help me understand. What is your take on robotics?
I would say robotics for me would just be machines that run themselves, basically. All you have to do is input your instructions, and they run themselves. For example, we've had self-automated vacuum cleaners, where once they sense a mess on the floor, it activates and it cleans that. Or automated coffee machines, for example, or even those are what would fall under IoTs, Internets of Things. So things that you can program, and that will just literally make your life easier. If you wake up at 7, set your timer for coffee, that you'd like your coffee made at 8 o'clock, you come downstairs, and your coffee will be delivered. For me, that's my understanding of robotics, basically. Or even if you look at the health sector, where they're now discussing about machinery that will be able to do certain operations. All that would fall under robotics.
Okay, okay.
Yes.
We have a caller on the line that we would like to welcome to our show this afternoon. Good afternoon, how are you? Caller, hello?
Hello?
Yes, good afternoon, how are you, and how would you like to contribute to the conversation today? I think we are having a bit of technical issues with our lines there, so while we get that sorted so that we make sure that we can have you on our show, let us continue here in the studio. Priscilla, robotics, what pops to your mind?
Like to add on what she said, there are just machines that, okay, let me just give an example.
Yeah.
This morning, me and my roommate were like talking, and then she was like, have you heard about this dish wash machine that you just put your dishes in, and then it will start cleaning your dishes? I don't know if it's true, but that's what she told me.
Yes, it is true.
So I don't know if it's, but yeah, those are the robotic.
And I think
those are the robotics that we are talking about.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think the fact that they're stemming from different levels of their evolution through the various industrial revolutions. As you're saying, you know, once upon a time it used to be a dream that you could have this machine that would, you know, you could just put your things in your wash. Nowadays, it does exist. You literally just pack your dishes in and it washes your dishes, you know, and it rinses them and so on. And, you know, where a dishwasher once was a dream, now it is a reality. And I think it's those evolutions that go through, or these different machines go through. And with every generation thereof, there is an upgrade of it. And I guess this is where you get the concept of robotics, I believe.
Yes, robotics mixed with artificial intelligence.
Yes. Wow, okay. We've got a comment here from Richard Kambinda on our social media platforms. Richard is one of our very loyal, if I can call it that, viewers. We really we appreciate the fact that you tune in every single afternoon, and you always have these very enticing questions and comments that tend to awaken my brain. Thank you, Mr. Kambinda. This afternoon, for me, Mr. Richard Kambinda says, a tangible example of the fourth industrial revolution is your studio. The 0800 100 100 hotline and apps one of our local radio stations runs on an app, and even airtime can be bought via apps. Thank you very much. Very good examples of how the fourth industrial revolution is seriously part of our lives. Those are very simple examples that I believe some time back I would never have thought of. For example, the hotline that Richard is using as an example right now, to be one of those elements of the fourth industrial revolution. Thank you very much, Richard. It enlightens me to have this type of engagements with our viewers, because we teach each other about our experiences, and we learn and pick up, and we also question it. We awaken each other's curiosities with regards to these type of conversations and the topics that we have at hand. How will Namibian internet service providers assist the nation in propelling the aspiration of the fourth industrial revolution, given the high prices of data or Wi-Fi? How can we move around that, I think, is the question that we have here. That's a tricky one. I do know some time ago, there was reports in the media of a young man who invented a dataless phone, or was it a credit or a SIM-less phone, cell phone, mobile phone, and creditless mobile phone. So I think it's inventions like that could really, or in my opinion, that could really assist us to try and curb some of these costs in order to try and advance ourselves as a country in other levels. You try and balance out or mitigate the cost factor, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know how your view is on that, ladies.
Well, I believe that the bigger the institutions will get, the better the infrastructure will get as well, because they'll have more funding to invest in such infrastructure. And once your infrastructure is good, for example, the fiber optics that a certain company brought, it brought faster internet to Namibia. So eventually, I do believe that the prices will come down. And currently, I believe the institutions do have certain measures that do try to include everybody. For example, certain away packages, or the Jiva packages, those make it very accessible for everybody who cannot afford, for example, the postpaid contracts, where you can just buy super away or away gig, and you will have access to the internet.
Okay, no, that's understandable. Priscilla, what do you think are some of the ways in which we can mitigate and propel ourselves as a country forward during this fourth industrial revolution? Mind you, I think from talk and experiencing the different experts in the industry, it's as if we are kind of nearing the end of the fourth industrial revolution and heading for the fifth one. There's preparation being made. So in your view, Priscilla, how do we as a country most likely balance this out?
I feel like I will just add on what she said. The institution, like for example, MTC. MTC have like away, different types of away that you can you can connect. Or So I personally feel like it's just maybe the government should just come in agreement with MTC. Yeah, because data is expensive and we want to like go to another level. I don't know if you get my point.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I hear you.
Yeah. So like maybe have an agreement to like now we're going to use this and this and this, and also the invasion of cell phones and stuff. Yeah.
No, I hear you very much. It's a conversation. You know, I'm having these nice ideas coming from the ladies here in the studio. I'd love to hear your ideas as well, your comments, your inputs. And maybe where you have questions, we can ask each other the questions, we can answer, we can intrigue each other and awaken our curiosities. On our social media platforms, we are live streaming through those. Facebook, you can find us at Ministry of Information and Communication Technology, Republic of Namibia. That is on Facebook, Ministry of Information and Communication Technology, Republic of Namibia. We are also live streaming through our YouTube platform, and our handle there is MICT Namibia, MICT Namibia. You can call us, and the number in the studio is 061, that's the area code for the Commerce region. The number is 400397. That's the number in the studio, 400397, with an area code of 061. We wait for you to join our conversation. The one question that keeps popping up, and that I think that is the biggest concern, it's the gap. We're talking about advancing our Namibians through these industrial revolutions, especially these current ones that really are speaking to a lot of technological usage, your gadgets, your laptops, your mobile phones. And this then triggers the conversation into coverage. Do we really have the amount of coverage with regards to connectivity, whether it is networks with regards to mobile cellular networks, or also your internet connectivity? Is it really there? Can we really succeed in propelling the greater number of our Namibian people, especially looking at the remoteness of our country? Can we really get these services to everybody and say that we have achieved a certain percentage or a large percentage where most of our people, whether 90% of them, are connected through these, various platforms that these industrial revolutions provide? In my personal opinion, I really feel that a lot has been done. We're not where we were pre-2010, for example. I do believe that we do have a multitude of communications companies, telecommunication companies, who have really made the efforts. We've had regulations being put in place by our regulatory authorities and our government. I believe really efforts have been made, but are they enough? We have a caller from Windhoek. We've got Regan calling us. Good afternoon, Regan. How are you?
Good afternoon, I'm good. I was listening to the conversation you guys are having.
Yes.
Yes, and I can't help but wonder the cost that comes with Israel, if I may put it that way. You know, all these smart TVs, dishwashing machines, and coffee machines which can be programmed to do stuff without the help of us. I mean, they come at a cost.
Yeah.
And sometimes, I mean, they are helpful. I'm not saying they are not helpful. They are helpful, very helpful.
Yeah.
But they come at a cost. Imagine a coffee machine malfunctioning. It is connected to electricity. In the middle of the night, it malfunctions and it starts making coffee in the middle of the night. Or imagine a dishwashing machine which can, where you can just put dishes and it washes the dishes itself. Imagine how much electricity it uses, or how much water it uses. You see, these things, they are good for us, but they come at a cost. And with the world changing like this, some people cannot afford. They cannot afford the life.
Yeah. No,
And if they have to keep living in this world that they're living in, it means they will need to get, they will need to upgrade. They will need an upgrade
yeah.
to catch up to that. That means they will need to get money somehow so that they catch up with the rest of the world.
Very true.
There's a point where you said something about a phone which doesn't need credit or anything or a SIM card to call
Yeah.
or use internet. That is something good, but I don't think companies like MTC or Telecom would allow because it will put their businesses down.
Yeah.
It is excellent to have phones which doesn't need credit, but imagine you're selling tomatoes and someone is giving tomatoes for free. How would that make you feel?
Yeah.
Business-wise, it means your business will go down. Okay, I've nothing more to add. I mean, that's just the point I wanted to make.
No, you make very good points. You make
Yeah.
very good points, Regan. Thank you very much for that contribution. And it
Thank
makes
you.
a lot of sense what you're saying. I like the fact that you pointed to the fact that a lot of these innovations do come at a cost. Somewhere, somehow, it costs something.
Yeah.
Whether it's a monetary something or whether it's a loss to something or someone. Thank you very much, Regan, for joining the conversation.
Thank you.
Have a good afternoon. To continue on what Regan says, I think I am, it's that thing that brings a person back to at what cost? We're talking about robots or robotics, things that do certain things for us, make the coffee. And then that's just on a small scale. We're just talking about your household. Then we move it on to industrial scale. And I think this is one of the reasons why a lot of people have had reservations with regards to the advancement and the speed of advancement of these industrial revolutions, because there is great fear of job losses, for example. Then we're brought back to what Regan just said. It comes at a cost. So you are removing the human element out of this equation, yet that particular thing needs a human being to run. And now how do you balance these things where you can still sustain and create jobs for your humans, yet at the same time you want to invest and upgrade the level at which you utilize robotics in your industrial sector, for example, because it enhances output of products. While we're on those discussions and we're pondering on some of these questions, we would like to welcome Abdul, who's on the line. Good afternoon, Abdul. How are you?
Good afternoon. How are you doing?
Yes. How are you, Abdul?
I'm doing okay. How are you doing?
We are well. Welcome to our show this afternoon. How would you like to contribute?
Yeah, good afternoon to your guests and good afternoon to your listeners, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for having me. First one, Revolution 4, we are about to enter. First one, what does that mean to the life of the people? What does that mean in the life of politics in the country of Namibia or Africa or the global world? What does that mean in economic empowerment, economic defeating, economic in women empowerment, economic in men and gender equality? What does that mean in a religious manner? Christians, Muslims, and any other person that we are living in this continent of the Revolution 4. What does that mean in the culture? Leaders, respectable fathers, mothers, who they born their children. Some of them they are orphans, some of them they are street kids, some of them they are beggars in the street. What does that mean to the poor man out there that is struggling for his life? What does that mean to a rich man who was having money, today is poor? Some of them, they are being struggling in the battle of journey in their life. What does that mean in our social behavior? When we say justice for all, what does that mean for some who are being used in the politics system? When we talk about revolution, as my other callers just point some of the issues, I just want to say it first of all. Electricity, water is a very important thing. Housing, but are we, the revolution, stand for what we say? Is the walk we walk and talk the talk? Is that what we are speaking? If the revolution is about to come, are we capable to speak to the councillors, speak to the governors, speak to the ministers, and speak to the leaders that we are being put in power so that they can turn this country to a higher, better life in the future of the Revolution 4? Because in the end of the day, as a ICC, when you talk in the ICC, Telecom Communication Center, whatever we call it in communication, how did you, as a communication, how are you connecting your citizens, your leaders, to the citizens of them? Between relationship, communication is what we say. It's the first thing that is a tool that can discipline all of us, can make us as a leader, as a people, to communicate ourselves, to know that our issues are being addressed in the National Assembly. But it's the National Assembly coordinating according to the August House in the business of the day to the people.
Abdul,
yeah.
I'm sorry, we're running out of time a bit, but your points have been noted.
Yeah, thank you very
Thank
much. So
you.
let us make sure that what all I point in, even if I'm not alive one day,
Yeah.
let this issue be addressed and let it be for all, so that end of the day, with our Revolution 4, when we're not no more there, this Revolution 4 for the people who are believing, they can benefit this truth we are talking about. Thank you very much for your time.
Okay, thank you very much for the call, Abdul.
Okay, you have a blessed day, man, and your listeners.
Same to you.
Okay, bye.
As we're saying that we're having a conversation here at the Government Information Center. It's a public engagement with you. We would like to speak to you, our viewers, so that we can have your opinion on the fourth industrial revolution. What is it about? When you hear about fourth industrial revolution that we are in right now, we entered into the fourth industrial revolution at around 2015, even though preparations therefore started way before that. We have seen how it is constantly affecting our lives. We have seen also how the pandemic has woken our need, if I could put it that way, for the advancement of this industrial revolution and making sure that many of our people have or are having access to things like your gadgets, your laptops, your mobile phones, in order to be able to avoid having to go into certain places to minimize the spread of the pandemic, or even just ease the manner of working or schooling due to regulations that are put in place to try and balance or mitigate the effects of COVID-19. In some ways also, we have seen how the pandemic has actually positively pushed us into using these technologies to actually find other ways of doing things. For example, where agents had to sit face to face with their clients to have appointments and so on, or even colleagues that work together, now these meetings are being carried out through our gadgets. For example, your Zoom meetings that are constantly being carried out. Or we are now working on hybrid systems when it comes to work environments. This is due to, to our efforts of trying to ensure that we don't spread the virus, but also with this hybrid manner of working, we have found that many people are in agreement because it allows for flexibility in their manner of working. We do need to be honest with the reality that we don't all work the same. And sometimes we need these life events to try and assist us as, nations on how it is that we can change our rigid manners of doing things into some type that are flexible, yet allow for the production at 100% when it comes to output or work output. These are some of the things that fourth industrial revolutions, alongside all other preceding revolutions, have come along to enhance, and at every level there is always an upgrade. Ladies, Angela, is there something that you'd like to add?
I'd just like to add on what Mr. Regan touched on, that with the appliances, for example, and the enhancement of life, the cost would be, for example, an increased amount of electricity. So with the artificial intelligence, for example, it's not just about household gadgets and how you live. It's also about creating sustainable energy sources. For example, thinner solar panels also comes with that. So once you have thinner solar panels, they become more efficient, less waste to the world, and so forth. So when we talk about that, we don't only talk about how your life can be enhanced by gadgets, by cell phones, and so forth, but we also talk about, like, for example, the fourth industrial revolution, the expo that was just recently held. The motto was fourth industrial revolution as an enabler of green and inclusive industrial revolution. So this just means that they're not just looking at the parts of improving the artificial intelligence that we have now, but they're also looking into aspects of making sure that it does not cause a lot of damage to the environment and so forth.
Yeah, that's true. Sustainability, I think that is one key that we really need to look into. And it goes back to what Regan was saying as well, that a lot of this comes with, as you're saying, things that we need from the earth. Can the earth sustain the various revolutions? That is one question that we should actually also ask ourselves as nations that are propelling ourselves to enhance these different, manners of doing things. Are we doing it in a safe manner? We've got a call on the line. This is John calling us. Joel from Ondangwa is calling us. Good afternoon. How are you? Joel, welcome to our show this afternoon.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Joel. Now we can hear you. How are you?
Good, thank you. Ryan.
Very well. Welcome to our show. And how would you like to contribute?
Yeah, first perhaps it's a question that couldn't the fourth industrial revolution be realized without the involvement of the pandemic? Or is a pandemic one of the driving vehicles for the fourth industrial revolution to be realized?
Okay. I believe that with regards to the fourth industrial revolution, it was entered into way before the pandemic hit us. And this is with specific outlook to COVID-19, because the fourth industrial revolution was entered into at around 2015, while the pandemic only really hit the world at around 2019.
Well and good and so interesting. But if one can observe, the fourth industrial revolution having been ongoing, it appears now that with the pandemic has, to a large extent, is to a large extent playing a role, and it's time and again emphasized, as if it was one of the enticement for, it was one of the ingredients for the speedy realization of the fourth industrial revolution.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I hear where you're coming from now. Yes.
I think I would also agree with Joel on that part. Yeah. I feel like the COVID-19 propelled us into that. The whole online schooling, even government schools started handing out tablets and so forth, sending out worksheets online that the parents could do at home. So I do agree with him to a certain extent that it did propel us in a certain way to kind of putting everybody online.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only challenge is I cannot hear you when you are responding to me.
Oh, okay.
I can hardly hear you. You are a bit far away.
Yeah.
The other thing that I wanted to say is with the fourth industrial revolution, in connection with Namibia, in connection with Africa,
Yeah.
fourth industrial revolution would probably be good, but the manner in which we are accepting it, especially because most of the things you would realize nowadays is government entering into agreements apparently to not to be left out when it comes to fourth industrial revolution, forgetting the level at which Africa is,
Yeah.
and again forgetting how Africa in other instances is treated. But when it comes to fourth industrial revolution, they are just embracing whatever comes. For example, if you look at the economic level of Africa in comparison with the rest of the world, Africa is far lagging behind.
Yeah.
But whenever fourth industrial revolution is talked about, they are quick to enter into agreements, they are quick to, and you just want to imagine how impactful and how hateful it would be to most of the Africans. The level of competence is not there, yet there.
Yeah.
Now just imagine now you allow all these machineries to pop in. How you start to think, how are the poor people going to survive if their jobs are replaced by the machineries? You are only now benefiting the inventors of those machineries, because with them, their people would still have employment, because those machineries would need to be serviced.
Yeah.
They would need to be monitored. So at the end of the day, you are only benefiting the inventors of those machineries. But are your people really going to benefit from the fourth industrial revolution that one is so highly embracing and so highly excited about?
Yeah. No, Joel, your points are really good points, and it really it brings that question to light. It brings it forth for us as Africans, as Namibians, as we forge forward in this fourth industrial revolution. How careful are we? At what pace are we moving? Are we sure that we are not leaving anybody behind? Thank you very much, Joel, for taking part in our conversation this afternoon. It's very good points that you brought there. I think Joel's point does marry into what Regan's points were as well. And I think it's a point that I was busy with as well, that we are bringing it in, yes, but the pace at which that we are bringing it in, is it a sustainable pace? Are we ensuring that there is no loss to our job or employment sector that is being replaced by all these robotics and whatever not, machinery that comes in the spirit of trying to boost productivity? Because what we also forget is, at the end of the day, a working person is actually one who goes right back and puts their money back into the economy because they're able to afford to buy. Now, the more people that you have that don't have work, the less buying power you have as a country. So these are the little things that we need to consider, or, that one thinks about when it comes to these fast-paced, onset of the various revolutions. You spoke about sustainability of natural materials that are needed in order to produce some of these gadgets that are needed. And I mean, protection. For example, the batteries, I believe it's the batteries in our cell phones. There is a particular element that is mined in countries like the DRC. And these elements are mined through very, questionable manners, and these are things that us as end users are not told about. Unless you come across a documentary, or unless you come across a media report somewhere, something that that's not in your face. But, we are rushing and applauding a lot of these advancements, but are we really sure of how it comes about? Are we really doing it in a sustainable manner? I think that's the biggest question here. We need to consider what is right for us as the Namibian nation, what is right for us as Africans, and not necessarily just, propel forward with what the rest of the globe said. I mean, Joel had a point. We are swallowing in whatever is being thrown at us, but are our people ready for it? I think for today, we end our conversation here. Thank you very much for all of you who tuned in, and for everybody who took part in this conversation. We really are grateful for your participation. We end our show here. I'd like to thank my co-hosts for the afternoon. Thank you very much for making sure that I'm not lonely today. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
From myself, Shianua Desire Kahiha, along with my production crew, thank you very much. And we do hope to see you on Monday as we have another session here at 3 o'clock as per our usual time. So please do make sure that you tune in on Monday. But I would like to allow the platform to my co-hosts to say goodbye and maybe have their last remarks. Angela?
Well, I'd just like to say thank you for having me here. It was an experience. And just touching on Mr. Joel's point, I do believe what he says, that we should focus on slow, sustainable growth and grow at our own pace rather than just consuming everything that we're given. Yes.
Priscilla?
I would like to say thank you for inviting me here. And also, I've learned some other things that I didn't know about the robotics and everything else. And also, we shouldn't rush into these things, because at the end of the day, it's us. They say, don't crash, you'll crash. So, yeah. So, and also for the government as well. There's also, okay, what Regan said, he said a lot of things, and also Joel, he said a lot of things about the fourth industrial revolution. Is the government ready? Do we have more funds? Do we have creative people? Those are the things that we should consider as well. Because for this thing to work out, we need creative people. So do we have them?
Okay.
Yes.
Very good points there. And as I said, I would have been very lonely if I didn't have my co-hosts this afternoon. So thank you to them. And I do hope that conversations like these actually triggers curiosity in our minds about the things that are happening around us, and allows us to wake up to the realities that are happening around us, whether positive or negative realities, so that we can act accordingly where the need arises, to make sure that tomorrow we are not the ones who are suffering because of something that we could have, that we had the ability to do something about and change for the positive. With that said, I would like to say thank you for joining us this afternoon on this conversation. From myself, Shianua Desire Kahiha, along with my production crew, it's bye-bye till Monday.